Okay, so here we're going to look at mouths or lips. So for the first one, I'm going to do frontal lips. So I'm starting with a B. So I'm going to make something like this to help me get started. Okay, and then I usually start out with a shape and then I make it curvy because lips are not angular. But each person that you're looking at is going to have different lips, but this is just like a generalized pair of lips. Okay. Now, I'm curving them and I'm still not pressing hard because I'm not quite sure of how I want them to be. Okay, so now I'm going to erase this line right here because I don't want that in there. And when I do lips, I do shading mixed with cross contour lines. So I'm making cross contour lines here because the cross contour lines are automatically showing me how the lips are curving. They're in here, they're coming out, and they're going in, right? And I use that as a starting point. And also, lips have lines on them like this as well. I mean, everyone's lips are different, but most lips you can see some kind of fine lines on the surface of the lips that are cross contour lines. Okay. Now, I'm going to put in some shading. And I'm going to emphasize the cross contour lines. And this is just my first layer of shading. Closed lips are somewhat easy. Open mouths with teeth and tongues are a little bit harder. And I'll do another video on that. I'm just going to do the closed ones on this video. I'm going to get a darker pencil. So I'm going to go into my 2B. It's darker. The lips are darker right here because they're going into I guess, a deeper, more interior space. And let me darken this contour. So this curve right here is kind of, that doesn't look very good. Is kind of an imitation of this curve, but it's not as deep. I'm just trying to like adjust this shape a little bit. And then I mean, you can kind of see the cross contour lines and the shading, but I kind of want to make them a little bit more. I mean, I don't want to make them too obvious because that'll kind of look weird, but I need more shading here. It's not going to be white. Maybe at the top. But maybe like a couple, I mean, you decide if you like that. It's just the way I usually do it because it helps me kind of see, the contour of the lips. It can look a little like if you're doing it with shading. So like when you shade, you can shade like see how I'm shading in the direction of the cross contour line. So it's already the shading is giving it a cross contour look, right? But then in here, I'm kind of like trying to add in some of the lines, but it may look, if you think that looks too like fake or exaggerated, then you can just do it in the shading, if that makes sense. I usually like to add in a few. People usually have these lines. I mean, they're not this pronounced, right? So I'm exaggerating in the drawing, but um, I just do that to kind of give it a little extra. This is a 6B now, a little extra, uh, you know, volume that could use a lot more shading, but I'm going to leave it like that. And then so profile lips, like if you start on a line, right? They kind of look like this. It's like a heart, but the bottom part is, it's a heart turned on its side, but the bottom part is like more indented than the top part. Right? And then this one will usually come over. That may be a little too high. All right, so those are like kind of how you would draw it in profile. And I'm going to get a different pencil and kind of darken in this contour line that I made. And then, like, say this person is like, sometimes if the person is a little turned towards you, you might see that. Like, you're seeing that indentation. I don't want to put that in this drawing, but well, maybe I'll leave it there. So this is this indentation, but it's in a different perspective. So you see that in the profile. And then if you want to start with some cross contour lines, just to give it, again, the curved volume, you can do that. And I'm putting in some shading. Again, shading will be different depending on what I'm kind of doing this out of the top of my head because I've done a lot of lips before, but shading will be different depending on what you're looking at. Okay. That shading needs a little bit of work. And here, I'm going to have it darker at the bottom. So like, since this part is sticking out and like on this one too, like this part is starting to come out again. So it's lighter, usually lighter at this part and then darker on the top lip down here. And that was kind of a quick one. But I don't want to mess it up that much. So maybe I'm going to make some of these lines. All right. And then 3/4. Let me get a lighter pencil to start. So say you're doing this and the person is turning this way, you would divide it right here. Like, so this is going to be well, that may be too much. This is going to be a deeper angle. And then here it's going to be a shallower angle, right? So it's going to seem like this side of the lips is bigger, longer than this side of the lips because the person is turned, right? So it's more like you're seeing this at the regular length, but that since they're turned, slightly, then this is shortened because it's in perspective, if that makes sense. And again, this line is kind of an imitation of this line, but it is not as the curves are shallower. And here we go. So again, it's not, I use angular lines to start it, but lips are curved, not angular. So then you would want to curve them. And I'm going to erase this line that's in the middle. Okay. And if the person is turning the other way, so this would be like their nose is kind of like this, their nose would be this way, right? So if the person is turning the other way, then it would be the lips would be shorter on this side. And if they were turning more, then these would be even shorter. So, I mean, it's not like people are at different angles, so you have to look at them. And I would practice quite a few just if you want to improve your drawing. Okay, so that was my cross contour lines that I'm getting started with. And I'm putting in some shading. And this is a B. So I'm going to get a darker pencil in a minute. I'm just going to put some of this in. So now I'm going to get the 2B. And I just need to work on this shading a little bit. So it's also going to be dark coming from this because this is inwards, coming outwards, going inwards. And I'm going light with my pencil here. And then I'm going to make this side a little bit darker. And I'll leave it at that. That could use like more work, but I'm going to stop there.